Okay, working on my latest batch of spikes here, and I am going to do some heat coloring. Jamie Bebb of Bebb Harpery is his YouTube channel. Theharpery.com is the store. And he put up a tutorial on heat coloring, which is something that he doesn't do on his harps anymore. But I think I mean, for me, I don't really have too much skill in as far as like ornamental metalworking and that sort of thing. So I think it adds some coolness to my basic harps that I've been making. So, but one of the big points that he had is that if you do it to your harp afterwards, you're going to have to make adjustments. And I have definitely found that. So, for instance, here's a spike that I've done before. And what I did was, I don't know if you can see that very well, but what I did was only do some heating at the bottom to try and get a bit of a gradient effect. And I had to readjust afterwards because they're different, dissimilar metals, and they expand, contract, things loosen off. You end up having to tighten the crimp and then make more adjustments. So I'm going to do this beforehand and then try to make minimal adjustments where I'm going to introduce tool marks and have to do some more sanding and whatever afterwards, because the finish that I'm going to go for, I want to do the total thing. I'm going to see if I can make these as blue as possible. So check out his video. I'll put a link up to it because it's got some cool tips on what to do here. So rather than explain them all at excuse me, at this point, I'm just saying that right now I've learned a few tricks from his video that I wasn't aware of when playing around with the heat coloring before. So I'm going to see if I can get a full blue-ish sort of thing on all four of these. And the side that you're viewing right now is going to be the side that one would face if there's, somebody is playing the harp. Somebody looking at somebody playing the harp is going to see this side of it because of the way that I design the triggers. I like to have my crimp on the side that's facing the mouth. So when it's strummed, this will be the side facing the audience, which will be this side. So I'm going to see, that's how I'm going to monitor the coloring basically. And I'm going to do it simply with my propane torch here. So here we go. Now the first color that we're going to see should be kind of a yellowish gold color. He described it as a straw color. It's the color of hay. Yes. Uh-oh. Obviously too much of an angle. I'll try this again. This is a pretty full propane bottle, so very hot flame. I think what I'll do is I'll just kind of stick to one side here, maybe. We'll see. I'm just going to try and do this nice and evenly. And I should have mentioned, I don't know if I did, but I filed it down, sanded it down, and then I used some isopropanol just to clean everything off. Just to try and get as much contamination of any sort off so it doesn't affect the coloring process, because it is an oxidation process of the steel. And impurities on the surface will, of course, affect that. So I think you're already starting to see that it's going a bit yellow. At least unless it's my eyes playing with me, but I think so. So we're going to keep going. What we're going to be looking for are hints of purple. And when I start to see purple everywhere, that's when I'm going to stop, because then after that, shortly, it should start to turn blue. Now, when I was doing this before, I was also much more impatient, and I would get right up close to it and probably overheat them too quick, and then I would overshoot the colors that I was going for. So hopefully I'm not taking too long here, but we'll see. I'll likely speed this video up. Maybe we'll get a bit closer. mean, I guess my vise is a pretty big heat sink too. That's why I've got it open. I'm hoping to transfer as little heat as possible through conduction of the metal into the vise. But this is a pretty decent torch, and this metal is going to get pretty hot. So I think eventually I will get it to temperature and they will start to... Oh yeah, I'm starting to see some yellows happening. Definitely over on this harp here, around there. Let's work on this side a bit more. Not quite what I was expecting and how I've been heating it. It's interesting. I thought it was a lot more even than the way it seems to be turning colors. But maybe it's maybe my surface prep isn't as even on all of them. I don't know. I feel like I might want to stop pretty close here. Maybe I'll just quick little blast. Just real quick. Once over. Okay. I think I'm going to call it. What do you think? Why don't just turn it off? There we go. Okay. Well, let's see what happens. I'm just going to let this go. So let it cool down on its own. I see some really cool blues, but I think... I don't think I've, maybe what I did was, like, these frames have been sitting around for a while, and I probably didn't get all the natural tarnish off of just from sitting around in a lot of places, and I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it looks cool. I think it's starting to look pretty cool. Definitely some heat coming off. All right, we'll see how that turns out. Here, let's get a closer look. So, as you can see, I did get some cool colors, a little bit of cool texturing happening, but it wasn't a very complete change. And I think it's because I just didn't do a very good job of sanding afterwards. Like I said, they'd been sitting around for about a week, so they've got some natural tarnish on it. So what I've done is any of the lighter areas, I've sanded again with some 600 grit. It's the finest grit I have right now. And we're just going to go it again and see how it turns out. Okay, I decided to take another crack at it because I didn't like the unevenness of it. And so far, so good. Maybe not super even, but still more so than it was before. I think I like it better anyway. Still cooling down. Just finished it, so I'm gonna go cook some supper and we'll come back to this after. So here's how they turned out. I actually did it twice because you can see some of the sections look like I didn't quite get down to bare metal before I tried reheating it. So I sanded them down again and went at it a second time, but overall, it's not exactly how I wanted it to turn out at all, but it's kind of cool. Got some cool colors out of some of these, especially in the reed channel on this one here. It's too bad that's going to be covered up. That's a really cool color. But yeah, I think the trick is to maybe do it a little sooner. I had these frames sitting around for a while before I was able to get to work on them again. So, but I think it's going to look all right in the end.